Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
Well, just over 6 months since we were last here for Josh Warrington's rerun with Mauricio Lara after that huge upset at the start of 2020-21. We are back in the city of Leeds, and it is nearly 5 years since Warrington first met Kiko Martinez in this very arena where they'll do battle tonight. IBF World Featherweight title on the line. Martinez and Warrington, our main event. There are 7 fights in total on the undercard. 3 of them are right here on Before the Bell. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us wherever you are around the world. Chris Lloyd here, normally with Darren Barker. But once again, we have drafted in Jordan Gill. Unfortunately, one-handed this week, so you're going to have to deal with the mic, the headset, your information on your phone. How is the hand surgery gone? How are you feeling?
It went really well. The surgeon said it went really well. So they took the bone from my hip, put it in my hand, fused it all together. So we've got a magic hand now, and I'm doing everything left-handed. So
and a wonky hip, as if you needed more balance problems in the last 6 weeks.
That's it. I think we're challenging all obstacles, so we'll see.
Listen, the ones you overcame a few weeks ago, I think, mean you can get through anything. But your good friend Lee Wood came through miracles a couple of weeks ago, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on in preparation for the main event. But that is what is to come on our pre-broadcast segment Before the Bell. Callum French in action against Angelo Turco. Marley Wright in a really interesting rematch against Luis Palmer. They drew last time out, his second contest. He was here, you may remember, on the Leeds bill when Warrington fought Lara in the rematch. And then Corey O'Regan, who's been sparring Dalton Smith in preparation for this tonight, is in against Polish fighter Yako Leskovsky. That will take us through to around 10 to 7 local time, where Before the Bell will end. And if you then head over to Dazn on platform, all the action kicks off. Sky Nicholson, after a really good San Diego debut a few weeks ago, is back in action against the tough gatekeeper Bet Conley. Dalton Smith, one of the country's, if not the best prospects in the country, is up against Ray Moylett from Ireland. That'll be a really good test for a WBC ranking place later on this year. The IBO World Lightweight title that Maxi Hughes won against Shivani Straffon last time we were in Leeds is up for grabs when he fights Ryan Walsh, a former British champion. Few heated words, lots of respect. A really good fighting prospect there, and a big opportunity for Ebony Bridges up against IBF World Bantamweight champion Maria Cecilia Roman is our chief support, and it will be rocking in here. 12,000 tickets sold. A few have filtered in already. We know what the Leeds fans are like. They love a Saturday night. They're going to be in full voice here for Martinez and Warrington too. Kiko Martinez, of course, becoming world champion at Super Bantam for the first time in 2013. Who'd have thought he'd have been in the weight division above, world champion again last year? But he is, and he defends his title against Josh Warrington 5 years after they met. All that to come on Dazn around the world later on tonight. But let's get on with the action here on Before the Bell. I'll hand you over to our MC, David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a pleasure it is to be here back in Leeds, England, for an evening of World Championship Professional Boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We are live on Dazn, and we begin tonight with a 6-round super lightweight affair. Set to make his ring walk, please welcome Angelo Turco.
Well, just a short trip for Angelo Turco. He's from Hainaut in Belgium, near the North-French border. He's the kind of opponent you would expect to see somebody like Callum French in against at this stage of his career. He's got 8 wins against 23 defeats, but he's aggressive, he likes to fight. And I sense at some point that industry may see him fall into a few traps tonight. Made his UK debut against Sheffield's Liam Bell for his first pro fight. His first pro fight, Liam Bell's, not the Turco's rather. He hit the scales at an identical weight to that a couple of weeks ago, shade over 140. The second time that he was out this year, this is the third. He's back in the UK to see if he can give Callum French anything to think about here in Leeds tonight.
And now set to make his ring walk, please welcome Callum Frenchy French.
Well, you can see the pocket of fans that Callum French has brought with him for his second pro fight. He had a successful debut against Rustem Fakulin over 6 rounds on the Ben Algeri undercard in Liverpool. And he is part of that stellar amateur crop of fighters who've made their transition into the professional ranks over the last 12 months, along with the likes of Cyrus Pattinson, the McCormack twins, Pat, who debuted in Newcastle last night, the Olympic silver medalist, Luke McCormack, who will make his debut next month, Mark Dickinson, who boxed last night as well from Ben Davison's stable. It is widely considered Graham Rutherford's gym to have produced some of the best boxing talent in the amateurs in the last 3 or 4 years. And, well, every suggestion, Jordan, that it could also produce some of the best professionals too.
Definitely, he's got a great stock of talent in that gym now, and they're very popular lads as well. We can see as we look up into the crowd, they've got a big fan base come. That one block is all full of Frenchy fans, and I'm looking forward to hearing the noise they make for him.
Yeah, he made his debut at 140 pounds, but he hit the scales at a lean 137.5 yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see how he feels at this weight and whether he feels he might be able to safely make 135 and perform there. That's the key. We may know a little bit more about how he feels about that over these next few rounds. Berkeley Boxing Club's Callum French to open proceedings here in Leeds tonight.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Leeds, England. We are live on Dazn for a huge night of World Championship Professional Boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. All of tonight's bouts are sanctioned under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control. Introducing your third man in the ring for this contest from Fleetwood, A-star referee, Mr. Steve Gray. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 6 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the camouflage trunks. He scaled 10 stone, 2 ounces. His professional record, 8 wins, 23 defeats, 2 draws. He has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Cagnes, a New Belgium. Please welcome Angelo Turco. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the white with black and silver trim. He scaled 9 stone, 11 pounds, 8 ounces. His young professional record thus far perfect, 1 fight, 1 victory. Fighting against that time where, please welcome Callum French.
Okay, boys, we're called back. Take a step back. Don't go put his hand back of the head. And take yourselves up the time. Touch the cross. Come on, lads.
Steve Gray administering the final instructions to both the fighters. 6 rounds to kick us off in the super lightweight division. Berkeley's Callum French. His opponent in the camouflage trunks, Angelo Turco. Belgium, not historically a hotbed of professional boxing. They've got a handful of decent fighters with foreign heritage. Even Garbu, former European champion, Congolese parents who relocated to Belgium. Riyad Mary, of course, originally from the Ivory Coast, based out of Brussels. Farouk Kurbanov will be in with Zelfa Barrett in a few weeks' time. Delphine Passoon, who of course was kind of kryptonite star for Katie Taylor in those 2 brilliant fights a couple of years ago. And then of course Francesco Botero, who's pushing for an eliminator with the WBO in a brilliant lightweight division. But, well, Angelo Turco is more of a circuit fighter with limited ambition. He does come into fight, but already you can just see the quality as Callum French pushing him back into the corner.
Seems to be under pressure already, despite Turco being in camouflage. French is still finding with those straight left hands.
Darren Barker will be proud of you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Camouflage jokes are his favourite. He'll be devastated if he didn't get the chance to make one. French just leading off with the left hand to the body. Turco trying to respond, but he's a little wide and a little reckless, and that is true to form for those of you that will have watched him. And he was watching French just go through technical routines like before last, just working on aggressive foot feints, trying to draw the lead out of his man, but actually he hasn't really needed to, because when he leads off, Turco is there to be hit. The French looking spiteful already.
He stunned him with the lead right up there. Just seems to stiffen his legs up a little bit. I think Callum French has got a really fan-friendly style. He throws plenty of punches. You know, he looks like he loads up with the punches as well.
Sparring with Conor Benn in preparation for that fight with Chris Van Heerden, April 16th on Dazn live from Manchester. Already boxing Angelo Turco in, ripping to the body minutes ago in the first.
Doing a good job of getting his lead foot on the outside of Turco's. Really firing in that backhand. Beyond the nice jab as well.
Turco looking sluggish and laboured in his responses here. Will he get accustomed to this? Just fires a right hand on the chin of French, slings the overhand right, just missed.
Really like the fact that Callum French isn't neglecting the body. I like to see him vary the power a little bit. I feel like every shot he's trying to hit with mean intentions, but I think if he varied the power a little bit, he'd shock Turco into getting knocked out.
Yeah, I think that is sometimes the eagerness of debutants and certainly early stage novices who are boxing on these kind of big stages. Is French again just looking to set shots up, taking that half a step back and letting the counters fall short. Uppercut with the rear hand just sinks into the body, and Turco felt that and he's boxed into the corner again. Hangs on and sees the bell for the end of round one, but a good finish to a very strong round for Callum French there.
It's a great start.
Well, he set the pace, and as you say, getting that right foot on the outside is illustrated no better than the overhead camera, and really spiteful with that stiff jab, using those aggressive foot feints. But well, he was able to just lead off early and have his way.
Really showing his class, Callum French. Turco's a tough man. He's only been stopped 4 times in 28 losses, but after the first round like that, it's hard to see how he's going to get through another 5 rounds.
Will he become accustomed to the power, or will he begin to unravel? The next 5 rounds will tell us something, and Callum French already straight back to work on the front foot.
See a little bit of blood around Callum French's nose. You know, I think he's not afraid to get stuck in. I think that's why he's going to be fan-friendly. That's why people get behind him. You can hear the support in the crowd. He's a very popular, likeable lad, and he's got very popular, likeable boxing style as well. He just lands a big left hand.
You see Turco rushing out of the corner. That's typically what he does, is that when you fire off, if you lead off with singles, he'll just rush straight back at you. But he's wide when he does so with the right hands and the left hooks, and that's, I think, what Frenchie was working on in camp, just that little lay back to make him fall short and come back with the counters. Leads with the uppercut with the rear hand again, just lifts the head of Turco up, and the Belgian fighter just drops low and tries to swing with him. Stiff right hand to the body, and the crowd all standing up. Pocket of 100 or so that he's brought with him already in good voice.
Lovely time up there. Really putting the pressure on.
Just loading up with that big right hand, wants to put on a show for the people that have come to see him. Leads off again with that right hand to the body.
Thought Callum French looked really good on the scales yesterday. Looked in great condition. I think he'll be the bigger man, heavy weight-wise, in the ring tonight. Turco is quite fleshy.
Yeah, Turco was, as I mentioned on the ring walks, about 3 pounds heavier. He was the same as he was last time he fought a couple of weeks ago in the UK, 140 and a quarter pound. Frenchie was 137 pounds. It just makes you think, well, if he feels comfortable at this weight, and that's the key, he may look to campaign at 135. Who knows? Things where his ambition lies, where he thinks there may be opportunities to progress. Just catches a couple in the fray there. French just left the hands low, was a little bit tall. Dipped under it that time, though, made the adjustment. Doubles that left hand, triples it. Turco in a little bit of trouble, hangs on.
I think he's got him going here, Chris.
3 straight left hands, walks through a right from the Belgian. French again on the front foot, just target practice at the moment, teeing off on his man. Left hand again down the middle, Steve Gray. He's having a look at Turco with 10 seconds to go in the second.
He's a brave man, he's still firing back.
I think he's going to see out the round. And Steve Gray was lasered in on him there, knew he couldn't take too many more of those clean. And he did well to stay upright, but wow, just hands low, was walking back in straight lines and well, making somebody with the feet of the amateur experience of Callum French easy target practice, really, Jordan.
Definitely. I think Turco's looking a little bit worse for wear in the corner there. And I know we said this last round, but it's going to be hard to see how he makes the end of the fight. But Callum French really going for the gears here, looking very classy, very spiteful. There was a little point in the corner closest to us where he stood in front of Turco and made him miss a few shots and come back with his own. Nice variation of the shots, uppercuts, hooks, you know, behind the jab as well. He's not rushing in, but he's not afraid of mixing it as well.
10 seconds, folks. Second out, round 3.
Well, Callum French, I think, sensed a breakthrough in that last round as the legs just dipped of Angelo Turco there. Can he get the job done in the third round? Long time to go if he can start unravelling his man in the first minutes of this round. Doesn't want to rush his work, though.
Really like the fact that he's not neglecting the body. He's going downstairs, and I think if he is going to break down Turco, that's the way to do it. Lead left hook to the body again. It's a right hook, his southpaw.
Yeah.
Just got to be careful with Turco firing back off the ropes. You know, chucking a blind shot.
Yeah, and just as you say that, he did just eat one on the way in, but I think he's comfortable with the power and ready to walk through it to land 4 or 5 of his own. He lands a stiff left hand, and Steve Gray, frankly, has seen enough from the Belgian fighter who was brave through those 3 rounds, but was getting it far too clean, snapping the head back, and I think we're all in agreement there's no way he was going to win that fight. And well, Steve Gray has seen enough boxing in his time that he felt it was better to let Turco live to fight another day.
That was a great call. Nice to see the compassion from the corner with the towel coming in. You know, the Turco can live to fight another day, and it's nice to see that.
So, first stoppage on the ledger for young Callum French, and he looks pleased, doesn't he, too? He set a high pace from the first bell, and he didn't let up, and, well, the little that did come back didn't trouble him. I think that was the first sign there, just the legs buckling under that left hand, and that was the second one. And well, actually, you spotted the towel coming in. I don't think I saw it there, and Steve Gray did so, but I think he was also quite close to jumping in regardless of that, because he'd just taken those kind of shots. That was the legs that went, and I think really once you take a shot like that at his kind of level, you're not far away from being knocked over and not getting up.
That's it. It was a sustained beat down, really, wasn't it? It was a sustained attack from the start of the bell to the finish.
Well, David Diamante is ready to read out the result. Let's head over to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Steve Gray calls a halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 1 minute and 11 seconds of round number 3. Your winner by RSC, he's still undefeated, Callum French.
So ruthless second performance as a professional from Callum French, his team for the Berkeley Boxing Club. Look pleased with their man's performance. Credit to Angelo Turco for trying to hang on in there, but he was second best from the first bell. And Callum French rolls on 2-0. Another successful victory for an amateur Berkeley Club fighter turned professional. Lots of action still to come here in Leeds. 6 more on the undercard before our main event. And do remember, there is plenty more action to come on Dazn over the next few weeks.
Let's get ready to rumble! Now, entering the arena.
Meet the future of boxing. It's Ryan Garcia. Triple G defends the middleweight title for the 21st time.
The Destroyer, Ben.
Ripping work here from Ben.
The real deal strikes again. You can see the fire in Katie Taylor. Vivo is the most dangerous opponent for Canelo Alvarez. This is a champion in his prime.
Beautifully timed right up from Craig Richard. First blood to Joshua Boyce.
The fight starts now!
Well, a packed schedule coming up on Dazn around the world over the next few weeks, but lots of action to look forward to here tonight. And here we are, Chris Lloyd with Jordan Gill joining me for Before the Bell. Don't worry, we haven't sacked Aaron Barker. He'll be here later on in the broadcast, joining myself and Mike Costello from 7 p.m. to call the main fights. Just looking ahead to the main event, Jordan. I mean, what? Firstly, a divisional landscape change we've seen. Of course, yourself and Lee Wood with absolute heroics at 126 pounds to keep yourselves in the picture. Josh Warrington has had a roller coaster of his own over the last year. 5 years since he last met Kiko Martinez in this very city. Very, very close fight. Martinez said to the press this week he felt he'd been robbed of that decision, and this is his opportunity to put it right. What do you remember of that fight, and how do you see things playing out later on tonight?
I remember it was a very close fight. I don't think you can say Kiko was robbed, because it was a close fight.
Yeah.
All these fights at this level are going to be close when it's that competitive. But I feel like Warrington did enough to win it on that night. If it was a draw, you couldn't really argue. But I think tonight's a different story. 5 years is a long time. A lot can happen in 5 years. A lot has happened in 5 years. The belts have changed hands numerous times. And I think it just shows how hot the division is at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly does. Kiko Martinez, I think, has proved a lot of people wrong. They were talking about him 5 years ago being almost done and over the hill, but he seems to have had a resurgence in the last year, 18 months. Every fight we've seen, from the Zelfa Barrett fight to the one out in Spain to, of course, the Kid Galahad fight, that was always going to be a kind of kryptonite style for him, wasn't it, Kid Galahad? But he proved that he's capable of hanging in there and finding the punch that he needs to at crucial moments in big fights.
Definitely. I think Kiko's a nightmare for anyone. He's got a shell, like little back of his back is his shell, and he makes himself a small target. He's very strong. He provides a lot of pressure. He puts everyone in that he fights under a lot of pressure, and I feel like he's got that knockout punch as well. So at no point in the fight with Galahad did he look like he was going to win. He didn't win any secondary rounds, but you know, he found the punch, and that's what matters. Well,
it is what matters, and you know that more than anyone else as well. Well, let's take a look at a preview of tonight's main event right here in Leeds on Dazn around the world.
Soy Kiko Martinez, el actual campeón del mundo del peso pluma de la IBF.
Josh Warrington, former IBF featherweight champion of the world, soon to be two-time world champion.
Me llama la sensación porque cuando era pequeño, por donde peleaba, causaba sensaciones al ser tan pequeño y a pelear con gente tan grande. La gente se quedaba con una muy buena sensación.
It used to be the Warrior Warrington when I was an amateur. Some of my school pals used to come watch me fight and say, I'm going to watch the Warrior Warrington. It just goes well together, I think. When the pro career started, I thought I can't just be the Warrior, because there's been many different warriors from around the world. Obviously very passionate and proud of where I've come from in Leeds. So yeah, Leeds Warrior, put 2 and 2 together, get 12.
Rematches are always exciting, and generally you get a rematch because the first fight was so good. This rematch is totally different. This rematch comes 5 years after the first one. This time, for a world title. This rematch comes unexpectedly. This rematch comes with everything on the line. Kiko Martinez against Kid Galahad was one of the most remarkable turnarounds in a fight. Kiko Martinez didn't win a round.
Martinez maybe sensing that he's got to do something pretty special here. Oh, the big overhand right from Kiko Martinez. And suddenly the man who said at 35 he was still capable of winning a world title has produced a dramatic comeback here.
We represent Kid Galahad. We were devastated for him. I want Josh Warrington to win so badly this Saturday, but I also love Kiko Martinez. How can you not love Kiko Martinez? Actually a guy that earlier in his career probably lacked a little bit of discipline, but the discipline he's instilled in the back end of his career has given in this Indian summer.
Cuando entro en una pelea de esta magnitud, de estas grandezas, lo único que pienso es en mi familia, ¿no? Que ellos puedan vivir bien, que no les falte nada y que se sientan orgullosos del trabajo que hago diariamente.
The feeling and the emotions that go into fight night and then what comes after, you have fear, adrenaline, nerves, anxiety rolling through your blood, and the next day it's pandemonium. It's just, you know, triumph and victory. It just brings an high like never before, and it's a feeling that only lasts, you know, a few days before you're back in the gym, but it's a special feeling. And the lows, well, I've only experienced it, you know, twice. First time a knockout loss, and second time a draw, but, you know, I try not to dwell on them too much.
The Maurizio Lara fight was potentially career-ending. To come back, to accept that rematch at Headingley, showed so much heart, and obviously it went no one's way at Headingley, but to get this opportunity to become a two-time world champion in his city, all the dreams that we had when he came back to us at Matchroom, they all sit right there in his hands if he can win on Saturday.
There's certainly a few more chapters to be written in the Josh Warrington story. I'm reaching my peak years now. That's showing in the gym, that's showing in my training. My mind is stronger than it ever has been. I've come through setbacks, I've learned from them, I've grown as a fighter. There's still life in the old dog just yet.
Falta por escribir todavía de Kiko Martínez 2 peleas más. Tengo que ser campeón del mundo unificado. Ese cinturón me lo voy a quedar, estoy dispuesto a darlo todo encima del ring. No voy a rendirme, no me voy a entregar en ningún momento. Estoy dispuesto a pagar el precio que haga falta por seguir siendo campeón del mundo.
Fight one between these two was an electric pace. This one is going to be even more rampant. With two guys that are desperate to win, two guys that need to win.
It's about being back on top, being back, getting that power position back, being a world champion again. For my followers who back me and support me, for my family, for my own legacy. Yeah, it's massive on what's riding.
Mi pronóstico final va a ser que gane por KO. Eso es lo que he visualizado durante todo el campamento, constantemente, en la noche, en la montaña, en el saco, en el sparring. En todo momento la visión ha sido noquear a George Warrington.
My final message to Kiko Martinez is, Kiko, thank you for the opportunity. Maybe one that you're going to regret. I'm the new.
Mi mensaje final para George Warrington es que no ponga excusas después de la pelea, que no decida que haya sido un golpe de suerte, que no meta el peso, que ha tenido muchísimas semanas de preparación y que sea honesto cuando le gane la pelea.
I think this is the end for both fighters if they lose on Saturday night. Each one of them have been tremendous world champions. Each one of them only want to be in the sport with a belt around their waist. This is absolute must-win for Warrington and Martinez.
Opportunity for Josh Warrington to regain the title that he lost outside of the ring after a difficult 18 months for the Leeds Warrior, and a potentially even bigger opportunity for Kiko Martinez to correct the record from 5 years ago. Our main event IBF World Featherweight title on the line on Dazn later on tonight. Now let's crack on with Before the Bell, second contest of our pre-broadcast schedule. Let's hand you over to our MC, David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now set to go with a compelling 4-round light heavyweight rematch. Set to make his ring walk, fighting out of Sheffield, please welcome Black Steel, Lewis Palmer.
The junior witter managed Lewis Palmer, and if you haven't heard of him, don't worry, he's had much of an amateur background, but well, made a fairly impressive statement last time out. We saw Marley Wright box here on the Leeds undercard in September, looked very good against Anthony Woolery, but in the second of these contests, it was a 4-rounder against this man. He was pushed to a draw, and he looked very sharp. He's been sparring with Lorraine Richards and Callum Beardo, spent a lot of time around Dave Caldwell's camp. I was speaking to Danny Wilson earlier on about him. In fact, said he'd sparred. I don't suppose you remember those spars at all?
I wasn't in the gym when they sparred, so I didn't see the spar. But I spoke to the trainer, Liam Walsh, earlier. Liam Walsh and Carl Baker in the corner. I've known them for about 15 years, and they've been in boxing a long time. They're supremely confident, and they feel like they were robbed in that first fight.
Well, very interesting to see if he can improve on that draw and get the win tonight. There have been rumours and positivity around him, and well, Eddie Hearn sitting ringside watching him. A big, big opportunity for Lewis Palmer to impress here in Leeds.
And now set to make his ring walk from Chapeltown, Leeds, please welcome the one, Mullet, the Matrix Ride.
Is that a walnut whip?
I was going to ask you. Feel free to tweet me if you know what that is. I apologise if it's glaringly obvious. It's an interesting outfit that Marley Wright, the One Matrix, is entering the ring, although the Matrix was stuck in a glitch last time out, and I spoke to him earlier on this week. He came in pretty heavy. For somebody that wants to campaign at 175, he was 187 pounds, and he looked a little sluggish and laboured, certainly compared to the debut that we saw. And I know that Nick Manners was frustrated with him in that second contest, knows that he can be a lot better, and he's a young man, as you can see, full of confidence. He's got high ambitions. He has to win this in good style, Jordan. He can't afford to slip up it.
Definitely. I think he has to take it serious. I think it's a good note. The fact that the rematch is only 4 weeks on from the first fight, it's not a lot of time to adapt, so it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what changes have made that quickly. But, you know, I think it's important to make it clear to the audience that he might not be a walnut whip. He might just be identifying as a walnut whip.
If you haven't seen him box, very relaxed, rangy, turns through the shots with a lovely flow and effortlessness that we saw in the debut, we didn't see in the last fight. If we see it again tonight, you'd have him as a narrow favourite here. All the bravado and the fire between these two. Can he produce the goods? He's got 4 rounds to prove his point and correct the record here.
From the First Direct Arena here in Leeds, England, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special light heavyweight rematch. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Introducing your third man in the ring at the sound of the bell, from Liverpool, A-star referee, Mr. Mark Ellison. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the light heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks with the black trim. He scaled 13 stone 4 pounds. His professional record, no wins, no losses, and 1 draw. He fights out of Sheffield. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Lewis Black Steel Palmer. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black trunks with the green trim. He scaled 13 stone 4 pounds 4 ounces. His professional record, 1 win, no losses, 1 draw, and his 1 win came by way of knockout. Fighting out of Chapeltown, Leeds, introducing the one, Molly, the Matrix Ride.
short a bit. But okay, boys, both know the rules. I want you to obey my commands. I tell you to break clean, defend yourselves at all times, boys. Good luck to you both.
Well, as you said, Jordan, really good to see two young novice pros not afraid to roll the dice in what was a close first encounter over 4 rounds just a few weeks ago, and running things back to settle the score.
Round 1. 4 weeks on, I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. 4 rounds isn't a long time. This is a sprint, so we're going to see an all-action fight, I think.
Oh, and you're absolutely right, because they both come out firing. Marley Wright in the black trunks with the green and white trim. Lewis Palmer in the white trunks, just landed at a left hook in the first 15 seconds of the contest, and he was in and out nice and sharp. And Marley Wright, I dare say, just was a little sluggish compared to his debut in their first encounter. And Palmer be quick in and out, just walked into a couple of straight shots from right there.
See the knee braces on Marley Wright. Don't know if that's a bad sign. Maybe he's had some injuries in camp, or maybe he just likes the feel of them, but maybe we'll see. Will it affect him or not?
Palmer looking calm, relaxed, just moving his man around, just waiting to pick his moment, just trying to draw the lead, just catches a glancing jab. Lively right hand there from Wright, just lifts his hand up in the air, kind of like the old amateur days. He scored a point, you would pay to the judges, and he had a decent amateur career, 29 bouts, 27 wins at senior level. First went to the gym with Nick Manners at the age of 15. He'll of course have a vested interest in the main event as part of the Josh Warrington team too. He's known them for a long time. And, Warrington, he's got the bloodstained shorts from the Lee Selby win at Ellen Road in his gym.
It's good experience just being around those guys. You know, people like Maxie Hughes, people like Josh Warrington that are fighting at the top level for world titles. To be in the gym, to be training alongside them guys, it'd be a great experience for someone like Marley Wright who's coming through the ranks. But he's in a real fight tonight. It's good to see so early in his career.
Oh, lovely check left hook there. As Palmer stepped in, Marley Wright just caught him on the turn. He has got beautiful timing. He breaks his rhythm well as he just steps in again, just double jab, and then a long right hand. He's got real levers on him too.
Really taking control of this first round. Landed some nice shots. I think Palmer is looking comfortable. He's moving well around the ring, but you know, he needs to make something happen. He's not actually landing. He needs to do something to win these rounds. Like we said, there's only 4 rounds to go. Oh, there's only 3 rounds to go after this, so something needs to happen.
Yeah, I think that was the problem for Wright last time. Just started way too slowly and almost forgot that actually you can't claw back the rounds in a 4-rounder. You give 2 away, and there's nothing you can really do about it, bar a knockdown. But he started a little sharper than he did in their first encounter. And well, for Lewis Palmer, the shots that he did take, he took them well, didn't seem fazed by them, but Marley Wright round for you, Jordan?
Yeah, definitely. He landed the cleanest shots, the eye-catching shots. I've known Liam Walsh and Carl Baker in the corner of Palmer for a long time, and I know, you know, they know their boxing, so it's going to be interesting to see what they say to him in between the rounds to G him up. He's only got 3 rounds to go, so he needs to make something happen. He needs to win all 3 rounds to win the fight and avoid a draw again. So it's going to be interesting to see what he comes out with in the second round. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit more action.
And I spoke to Dave Colwell earlier on today about when Lewis Palmer came down to spar Lorraine Richards. I think it was one of the first spars back at the start of camp, and he said, look, you can't take too much from it. He said, because Richards is at just a different level altogether than both of these competitors and a different stage of his career. He said, but somebody that kind of absence of an amateur background, he said, from what I saw, very, very impressed, and I thought with the right coaching and management and direction, if he's got the dedication, he said, I think he could actually go a fair way. And that's a pretty ringing endorsement from your coach, Jordan. He's in and around camp with quality fighters day in, day out, and for the last several years. And he said, no, I think he's pretty good. And actually, he's showing a lot here.
Definitely, he's moving well. He's got a great shape to him. I mean, you only have to look at him and know that he's not out of place on the big stage like this. So, yeah, I think he's got a lot of promise. I feel like he needs to make something happen. I think he needs to land some shots of his own to have a chance to win this fight. He just landed a big right hand there. So, like you said, when you're looking at people like Lerone Richards, they're a different level. You're not going to be looking at Callum Smith, your Anthony Yards, your Joshua Boatzis, but no, you need to compare yourself to the prospects coming up now. Guys like Thomas Whittaker Hart, who we saw with a brutal first-round knockout the other day. People like Callum Simpson, people like John Hedges coming through the ranks as well in this weight division.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking a right hand in the fray there, Lewis Palmer.
This is now where he needs to work, and nothing's happening. He backed off. Let Manny Wright go to work there.
Have a stiff exchange. Palmer's got a fair bit of height and reach to negate here as well. Not only is Marley Wright tall, he's got really, really long arms, and he punches it at full extension as well.
So it's going to be difficult for him to get past that reach. I know he has done at certain times, but he's punching with him, and that's when he's landing.
Oh, just feinting with the feet, jab into the body. A bit of success with a jab to the body. Marley Wright, perhaps success with the straighter shots upstairs. Now the two just trade as they hear the 10-second clapper. Coming to a close, round 2 of 4.
Close round.
Yeah, it was a closer round than the first, certainly. And, well, speaking of novice pros, Sky Nicholson is in for a second time in, I think, just 3 weeks. San Diego on the Tito Martinez undercard. Well, I mean, talk about looking relaxed, Jordan. She looks about as relaxed as you could for someone that's boxing at 7 o'clock.
Cool as a cucumber. She's ready for action, look.
Her opponent said earlier on this week she's kind of accepted the role of gatekeeper in the women's division between, I guess, anything from 118 to 113. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Beck Connolly's been a really good servant to the women's sport. She's been in with just about everybody that you could name in the women's game, outside of maybe Katie Taylor. She boxed Natasha Jonas, Terry Harper, Rachel Ball, and of course the new breed coming through, Eddie Scottley, Ramla Ali. And an opportunity for her tonight to, again, get some rounds in and ask a question or two of Sky Nicholson. That will start our broadcast on Dazn at 7 o'clock around the world. Into round 3 then. This light heavyweight encounter between Marley Wright in the black trunks with the green lettering and Louise Palmer in the white trunks.
A little bit more of a sense of urgency from Louise Palmer at the moment. He's come out to land some few shots, but he got caught with a combination himself.
He must sense after those first 2 rounds, the last one was close, but he'll know that he gave the first away. He will maybe sense that he has to win these last 2, and activity and being busier will be a crucial part of that. But he's just stepping off here, switches to southpaw, feint jabs to the head, but was just caught on the glove of Marley Wright, who, for me, just looking at a little bit more flat-footed than, again, he was on his debut, and he beckons his man in. But I just wonder whether this is where he will have to have that conversation with Nick Manners, and if they're going to box at 175, so look, I think maybe coming in at under 180 pounds is just going to suit you in terms of carrying that extra weight. I'm not sure it's suiting him, Jordan.
Yeah, definitely. You look at the man, he's carrying extra weight. It's not usable weight. It's not like he's packed on muscle for strength or power. He's carrying a little bit of weight around the middle. See, not as bad as some fighters, but he looks like he could lose it, and maybe be a bit more efficient if he did.
Yeah, his power really comes from relaxation, those long levers, turning through at full extension and timing, and putting on 7 or 8 extra pounds. Yeah, he's a big guy. It's not, you know, it's not 2 stone, but it's not probably doing him any favours. And maybe they'll have a look at this if they get through and get the win. Say, right, we need to come in under £180 for the next contest, see how we are closer to the light heavyweight limit. Lewis Palmer looking fleeter of foot here, but harder to get into range with the short levers, but he's giving it his best shot. Minute to go in the third.
He's landed some nice shots, but he's just leaving himself there to be hit and countered when he does. But that was a nice stiff jab. I'd like to see him take his head offline after he lands that jab, after he lands that right hand, just to get out of the way. Ask a few more questions of Mali Wright. Nice right hand to the body.
Just getting warmed up. Lewis Palmer looks like he's just got into a groove here. Nice 1-2 there. Landed some of the best clean shots that he's landed in the contest so far.
This is where I want him to build on that. I don't want him to skip off and sort of nick the round. Like him to, there's nothing wrong with moving, but maybe change the angle and go again.
That was a lovely counter just off the line there, and then just pivoted back to centre ring. 15 seconds to go in round number 3, and well, he's I don't know whether he's hearing you, Jordan. He's hearing his corner, but he's doing what you and they are asking of him, and there's just a little bit of blood just on the inside of, sort of looks like a cut inside of the eye of Mali Wright there. Not sure where it's coming from. We'll try and get a look at that in the corners, but well, again, a little bit of afters between these two.
A little bit spicy. The Lewis Palmer round, I think.
I think you're right, and well, that could potentially leave this one in the balance going into the 4th and final round, as close as it was last time out. And well, he will have gathered confidence from the last couple of rounds. It is close, this.
It's all to play for.
A highlight there from Mali Wright, just landing a left hook and just sliding out the way of the right hand, but well, jab exchange won by Palmer there. Just a more assertive, wasn't he? Took a few more risks, and as you say, just slipping and sliding, getting off the line after he threw.
Nice little step back there, just avoided that jab. Would have liked to see this over 6 rounds. Don't know if it's a bit more exciting because it's over 4 and we're not quite sure who wins, but I think it'd be well decided over 6 rounds. It's a shame.
We're going to get a trilogy, a famous trilogy between these two fight novices.
Matrix reloaded again.
Well, it'd be revolutions, wouldn't it? Away they go for the 4th and final round. Really interesting contest this. Mali Wright and Lewis Palmer, think all to play for in this final round. Just really good to see young prospects taking proper challenges and 50-50 fights. So unusual at this stage of their careers. It's normally, you know, stacked A-side cards, but this is absolutely anything but. And well, Palmer just stepping around the outside, just catches a cuffing sharp right hand from Wright, just left hand low in range. Palmer that time just leads with a right to the body, punching at the same time, both having success in these exchanges. And it's nip and tuck, this.
Good action from both men. I think it's going to be down to the last minute, possibly, who finishes the strongest, who lands the cleaner shots. Need a sense of urgency from Palmer here, and from Wright. Can't leave it to the judges.
In the corner there of Palmer saying he's tired, and I think it's tallying with what we're seeing. He just looks a little fresher in the feet than Mali Wright. Can he get in and out? Just jabs off that feint there, just switches, avoids the oncoming fire, just a skimming right to the midsection, came back from Wright, lands a jab.
At this stage in the fight, the last minute or so, where it comes down to who wants it more.
Yeah, and it will do, just ticking over that final minute of the last round. Palmer just skips out of range, but he's got to try and put an exclamation mark on this if he wants to have his hand raised at the end. We could be looking at another draw here, folks, you know. Just drops under the jab of Mali Wright. Again, just steps in off the jab, catches the left hook in return. 40 seconds on the clock. Right, lands a couple of shots on the inside. Palmer just digs away to the body. Couple of left hooks up close. Just a sense maybe Marley Wright's landing the cleaner shots in these up-close exchanges. Is that going to be enough to just tip the fight in his favour? Palmer responds now.
Seems to be getting the better of these exchanges. Both men desperate to land the finishing blow.
Well, Marley Wright started well, finished well. Palmer arguably had the better of the middle. And like Wright has landed a couple of really clean sweeping shots at the end. They just turned the head of Palmer. I think that secured the round for him.
Definitely.
Give round 1 to Wright, round 4 to Wright. Well, 3 to Palmer, 2 was up in the air. It's going to be how they've seen it ringside, but well, not a great deal again to split them.
Great fight, great little 4-rounder. It's what we like to see at the start of a big show like this.
It is, it absolutely is. I'd be really interested to know how you guys have seen it. Feel free to at myself and Jordan on Twitter and let us know how you saw that fight. We'll, of course, get the official result from David Diamante in 3 or 4 minutes' time. But well, Wright started better than did in the first contest. Took the first round. Palmer took a little while to get warmed up. 2 was closer, 3 was Palmer's round, and 4, just as the exchanges started to get a little bit more wild, it was Wright really that was landing the clean shots. Is that how you saw it too?
Yeah, I think so. I think Marley Wright started really well. I thought he secured the first round. I thought the second round could be possibly a 10-10 round. It was a very close round. If he was going to tip it anyway, probably Marley Wright's way as well. Palmer definitely won the third, and then the fourth was a clear one for Marley Wright. So I think if it's going to go anyway now, it should be Marley Wright's way, and I think that's what we'll see. But let's find out.
Let's find out indeed. Let's head over to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we get a nice round of sound for both of these fighters, please? After 4 rounds of action here in Leeds, we go to referee Mark Lyson's scorecard. It reads 39-38 for your winner, the one, Marley Matrix Wright.
Yeah, I think that was the instinct, wasn't it, that Wright had just done enough over the course of the action, put the punctuation in the last round, just winning the exchanges, landing the cleaner, heavier shots. And, well, he's corrected the record as far as he's concerned. But, well, for Lewis Palmer, Jordan, a lot of positives to take from these first 2 pro contests.
Definitely, you know, he's boxed a guy that's not a journeyman. He's gone in a real fight. There's a lot that he'll have learnt tonight and in the previous fight, so he can put it to good use in his next upcoming fights. He'll probably be fighting on the road. He'll be looking forward to some big fights now, you know, on the way turf, and I'm sure he'll pick up a win here and there.
Yeah, well, he's in the ring with Nick Manners, who will be rooting for Josh Warrington later on tonight. Can he recapture the IBF World Featherweight title that he lost out of action last year? Kiko Martinez, the champion, 12 rounds, £126 IBF title on the line in our main event here in Leeds later on tonight, live on Dazn. Plenty of action to come on the undercard, starting at 7 o'clock with Sky Nicholson and Bet Conley. Nicholson out for a second time as a professional. Dalton Smith in a really good test over his second 10-rounder against Ireland's Ray Moylett. And then IVO World Lightweight title that Maxi Hughes won in such brilliant form against the tough Mexican Giovanni Strapon in Leeds in September. He's up against Ryan Walsh. And then IBF World Bantamweight title is on the line. The champion Maria Cecilia Romantis 2017 makes a defence against the popular Australian Ebony Bridges to set the table nicely for our main event here. That is all to come live on Dazn, but right now let's head over to David Diamante for our third and final contest here on Before the Bell.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Leeds, England, we are set to go with our next contest. Set to make his ring walk, please welcome Yako Leskovsky.
You may remember Yako Leskovsky from Fight Camp last summer. He was in against Campbell Hatton in one of his early contests. He's a former Muay Thai fighter very tall, switcher, rangy. Thought it might be an awkward night for him, and he provided a good workout for Campbell Hatton. Wasn't easy to hit clean, quite an unconventional style and rhythm. He was in against Jeff Ofori as well, who's a little further along the boxing timeline than Hatton, a solid fighter who's kind of found his ceiling between area and English title level over the last 2 to 3 years. But he made slightly cleaner work of Leskovsky, managed to manage the distance a little more cleanly than Hatton, who kind of pressed, made it rough and tough up close for the Polish fighter.
And now entering the arena, please welcome the undefeated man from Leeds, Corey O'Regan.
Out for a 6th time tonight from Dickie's Gym in Batley, where tonight's headliner Josh Warrington learned his craft in the early days. Is Corey O'Regan. He's been sparring with Dalton Smith in preparation for tonight. Smith, of course, in action against Ireland's Ray Moylett later on, and to the ABA final 2016, lost to Callum French, who saw opening the show tonight as well. So plenty of links to the card this evening. And he boxed Dalton Smith, in fact, in the National Amateur Semi-Finals 2018. Beat Sam Noakes en route to the final as well. Slick, well-balanced southpaw. Looking to put on a show in his 6th contest as a pro tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the First Direct Arena here in Leeds, England, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special lightweight contest. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Introducing your 3rd man in the ring at the sound of the bell, from Fleetwood, A-star referee, Mr. Steve Gray. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 6 rounds of boxing scheduled in the lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting on the red corner, wearing the white trunks with the black trim. He scaled 9 stone, 11 pounds, 6 ounces. His professional record: 4 wins, 13 defeats, 1 draw, with 2 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Siemianowice, Śląsk, Poland. Please welcome Yako Leskovsky. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the white trunks with the burgundy and silver trim. This southpaw scaled at already 9 stone, 11 pounds, 7 ounces. His professional record, a perfect one. 5 fights, 5 victories. Fighting out of Leeds, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Corey O'Regan.
Don't throw any punches on the back of the head. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck, guys.
So 6 rounds scheduled in a lightweight contest. Corey O'Regan on your screen. Yako Leskovsky from
round 1.
Siemianowice in Poland, part of the Silesia boxing stable. We had Alexander Nagolski, part of the same stable, over for John Hedges a few weeks ago. We talked about the kind of affiliation with Mark Bateson and Jack Bateson too. That kind of typical style, wide base, obviously southpaw as well. Lovely shot selection, great balance, and you can really see it, can't you, in the way he shapes up.
Yeah, Corey O'Regan's come out sharp shooting from the start, skipping in and out of range. He's looking sharp. Just step back there, avoid an attack, looking for his own shots. Got 6 rounds to break this guy down, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can go through the gears and put a dent in him and hopefully stop him later on.
Leskovsky technically just has a habit of just kind of rocking over the front foot, part of his rhythm. Just wonder with the southpaw stance and the hand speed of O'Regan that he might just walk him onto either just those kind of rear hand uppercuts or straight left hands at some point in the contest.
It's quite an unorthodox style.
He is. I think that is due to the Muay Thai background, sometimes in transition. I know that speaking to Danny Wilson, of course, Florian Marku is making that transition at the moment, and trying to kind of iron out the kinks of what is often a very square-on style. But again, just see that kind of rear hand in a very forward parry motion. Sometimes he just overreaches with it and can be vulnerable around the side when he does so.
I think a common denominator for the Muay Thai fighters is that they're all notoriously tough. So I think even if he does take a few licks, there's a good chance he'll be able to come through it tonight. Corey O'Regan, he's 5-0, no knockout, so the record suggests that he doesn't punch very hard, but I feel like he probably punches harder than his record suggests. He's reddening up the face of Leskovsky already, so we'll see.
Yeah, more likely to finesse you than bludgeon you to death, but you're right, there is reddening on the face, and just puts his hands together there. And lands a stiff left hand through the middle. The guard of Leskovsky there just looks for the right hand round the side under the elbow, just pull back out of range two. He's moving his head really nicely, getting out of the way of the oncoming fire from the Polish fighter. A patient, clinical, sharp start from O'Regan.
Very measured. I like what I'm seeing. I like to see boxing in its art form. Boxing is the art of hitting and not getting hit. So he's doing a great job of that. He's getting his own shots off, nice and sharp, getting out of the way, getting his head offline. Very sharp start.
We'll have a development plan that will see him fighting for titles, he says, sometime around the end of this year. Jordan Ellison from Sunderland is still listed as Northern Area champion, though he's lost his last 3 since winning the title. He looks to kind of assume the role of journeyman, taking late notice fights with I think Adam Azim last time out, Lewis Sylvester perhaps, and losing all of them. So I can't imagine it'll be long before that title is made vacant. That could be one to aim for O'Regan in 3 or 4 fights' time. Billy Allenton, the English champion at 140 from Egham in Surrey, beat Jaman Camaro on a technical decision after clash of heads last September, so maybe they'll run that back. Either way, a few fights before O'Regan ready to kind of take on those sorts of challenges. Just 25 years of age, been sparring with Jimmy Joe Flint, who you remember boxed Dom Hunt for the Central Area title late last year. Hunt's still the champion. He was also handpicked for Jack Catterall's preparations against Josh Taylor, and a sparring partner in the lead up to that one. So crucial top level experience, being in and out of World Championship camps, and well, we saw how well it went for Jack Catterall, not the decision but the performance indeed. And well, O'Regan has got high ambitions and he's going about his work in a professional manner here. Leskovsky just trying to start a little bit faster in the second than he was in the first.
Seem to come out and have a little bit of a go to start with. Again, fires that right hand. Corey O'Regan drops underneath it. Very slick. It's great experience for him tonight, boxing on a big card like this. He's a Yorkshire lad. He'll have a lot of support here. You know, if he wants to move on into them title fights, these are the nights that he's got to take all that valuable experience from, soak it all up, and put it to good use in them title fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, we get an idea of what it will be like to reach the top level a little bit later on as Josh Warrington walks back into the fire against Kiko Martinez. Will he recapture the IBF World Featherweight title and set up that potential unification clash with Leewood, who performed such heroics against Mick Conlan just 2 weeks ago in Nottingham? All change, and of course, Jordan, I know you'll be wanting to get in on the action some point next year as well.
That's it. I feel like I'm in a good position with that European title now. You know, if Kiko and Warrington fancy it after tonight, I'm sure they'll be looking for unification as well, but I'm here.
Here as part of an ever-changing puzzle. Will it change again tonight? Will Martinez remain champion? Anything is possible in boxing. If you need a reminding, just cast your mind back to the last 4 or 5 weeks of the sport. What a start it has been to 2021. O'Regan just holding centre ring here, and the white trunks just trimmed with that mauve tartan. Leskovsky, silver trunks trimmed with black. It's been pushed back here. O'Regan just keeping his work long, just shortens up the shots, creates a lovely angle, and he does do that
Doing a lot of good things, Corey O'Regan. Hands nice and high, varying that hand position, varying his shot selection, power, skipping forward, skipping back, moving off the shots really nice. I think another level to what he's doing. He could throw a few feints in there, try and draw a lead, maybe open something up. These guys are tough. They're coming in with the intention of surviving half the time. If they know after a round that they can't hurt you, they're going to try and survive that 6th round. So you've got to do something to them, open them up to open the gap up for that shot.
And he's now just trying to work in those 2 phases. As you say that, just feint with the feet, just step out and come back with a shot. Leskovsky just walks onto one with 10 seconds on the clock, where you can see why he was such a good amateur, O'Regan, and he could well turn into a very good prospect yet. And speaking of top prospects, I think there's no doubt that Dalton Smith is widely becoming, if not already, the country's top boxing prospect. Tonight he has the opportunity to rip that label off and replace it with one that says contender, because Ray Moylett is not somebody to be taken lightly. Irish fighter, beating the who's who of top future Olympic champions and world champions in the amateurs. Little steadier progress as a professional, a little bit of inactivity too, but certainly will pose challenges that Dalton Smith has yet to have faced, and will maybe ask him 1 or 2 questions he's yet to be asked, and it'll be very interesting to see how he deals with them later on.
Definitely, I really like the look of Dalton Smith. There's nothing you can't like about Dalton Smith. He looks the real deal, and like you said, he is the best prospect in Britain. Looking forward to seeing him into title mix, but he's got to get through tonight first.
Round 3.
That is 10 rounds in the super lightweight division, 2nd on the bill, live on Dazn. Around about 7:45, I'd imagine, tonight, depending, of course, on how long or short Sky Nicholson and Bet Connolly last. That one scheduled for 6, opening the show in 25 minutes' time from now. Corey O'Regan just doubles up that left hand, just picking those long straight shots, holding the gap as well, punching long.
Look at Corey O'Regan. He's a good-looking lad. He doesn't look like he gets hit too much. His nose isn't too bent up like mine. So, you know, I think that shows he's got the skills. His defence is very good, as we're seeing so far.
Again, just leading off with that stiff left hand, puts the 1-2 behind it. And this is kind of similar to the way that Jeff Afori dealt with Leskovsky. As I mentioned, Campbell Hatton, we know in the kind of raw stages, there was a lot of pressure on him, and he was keen to impress, marauding forward, kind of smothering his own work a little bit. And with O'Regan here, just keeping everything long, making it easy for himself. And that's really what he has to do. That's his imperative at this stage of his career. Just a little blood on the back of Leskovsky, so I wonder where that is coming from. Doesn't appear to be cut on his face. Lovely little counter left hand there from O'Regan, again just inching back, bringing the Polish fighter into the space. Starting to up his work rate a little bit now as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's looking for them counters, but still maintaining that work rate. Just short there. He's measuring him very well, looking very good, very sharp. You know, he knows this isn't the level that he wants to be fighting at, but this is great experience for him tonight. He knows he's going to be looking at the guys like Jordan Ellison, who you said, who are area titles in the near future, and even beyond that. You know, there's guys like Ben Fields, Lee Appleyard, Sean Dodd, Tom Farrell, even up to Kay Prosper and Nathan Bennett, who was actually a Dalton Smith opponent as well. So, you know, guys like that, if he's sparring Dalton Smith, and I'm sure he's doing well and learning a lot in the gym, they're the guys that he's going to be looking at, and he's going to have his visions on them in the near future. So, you know, he's going through the gears now, landing some nice body shots there, mixing it up and looking a real good prospect.
Yeah, plenty of, as you mentioned, domestic targets to aim for over the next couple of years. And no doubt those opportunities will come his way. Leskovsky just leaning in, just leading off with that right hand to the body, just finding it hard to get on terms with O'Regan. The foot speed, the hand speed, the balance and the positioning, he's just second best. But he's trying, starting to get difficult in there, just getting kind of tenderised by a really sharp selection of shots.
Came out to James Brown, the boss, and you know, I think that might be the key to this performance. He's bossing it.
He is in full control through these early rounds. Again, just measuring with that jab, just making sure he was in range and knew where he was. And well, everything's just got a purpose, hasn't it? Setting things up nicely. And well, as you say, his levels above here, and I think after a couple of these sorts of fights, he'll want to be tested, he'll want to be thrown in at kind of area level with somebody that's going to fight back, somebody that can maybe take him 6 or 8 rounds. Of course, if it's an area title, it will be over 10, so that will be a different challenge unto itself. But he's clearly well above this level and well capable of beating this sort of opponents. It's just how he's progressing in the gym and whether they feel he's ready to step up. Of course, this win tonight would take him to 6-0, barring disaster. Normally area titles, you kind of find fighters between sort of 9 and 11 fights boxing for them. You can get out again quickly. You could see him box for an area title in the next 6 or 7 months.
Like you said, he had the amateur pedigree, won titles as an amateur. He's been in with some good names that are doing great in the pros. So they're the sort of fights that I'm sure he'll be looking at next in the near future. He'll be wanting them challenges, and you know, he's proven tonight that he's sharp enough. He's got the skills. He can definitely move. He's got some great defense, and as well in these 8-ounce gloves, people might not know from home, but we're dead ringside. You know, they're snapping them shots. Placing them shots nicely, and that's all you have to do in them 8-ounce fly gloves. Let me tell you, you don't have to hit too much. You don't have to load up with mean intentions for every shot to have an effect. He's breaking down his opponent tonight. Yeah,
and I think if you're not naturally a puncher, placement is absolutely crucial, isn't it? You know, some people can really whack, and they've always been able to whack. Some can't. But if you can put the knuckles in the right place, your balance is good, which O'Regan's is. As you say, there isn't a great deal of padding between the knuckle and what's landing. He just sits down on a 1-2 there. Leskovsky just keeps the hands high and tight, but those are starting to get through as evidence from the blood just starting to trickle from the nose of the Polish fighter, the reddening around the whole face now. You mentioned Dickie's gym. He originally went there turning professional just in order to improve his fight conditioning. After training with the owner, Mark Hurley, just decided to make the Batley gym his principal base for boxing training in a bid to move towards title fights this year. Based on what we've seen, of course, this is a certain level, of course, the kind of entry level, but as Leskovsky's mouthpiece comes out and he just marauds forward, almost in anger, it seemed there. It seems he looks on track and looks ready to step up a level and take on those kinds of challenges.
Definitely, he's got lovely judge distance. Seems to just be able to get out of the way of his opponent's punches. I think a lot of that's natural. That judge distance comes over time, but it's an inner instinct. He's got great instinct.
The test, of course, will be how does he respond when he's under sustained pressure? How does the chin hold up when he's hit cleanly? How does the engine hold up when he's in a nutritional contest over the 10 or the 12-round distance? Those are the sort of defining questions that often find fighters out who are brilliant amateurs and look the real deal.
There's only one way to find out, Chris.
Absolutely, as you well know. Let's have a listen into the corners then.
All right, 2 rounds left. Okay. There's little counters available as well. When you're stepping out, you're in a bit too far. Okay. Just distancing by short distance and bring the then come back in. Okay.
Chwilę przyjęłeś, przeczekałeś, skontrowałeś. Jemu nie można dać się napędzać, bo wtedy ma czas i bije. Jego trzeba wytrącać z jego rytmu i wtedy nie jest taki skuteczny.
Well, I'm not sure whether you caught that at home. It was drowned out a little bit by the crowd in my ears there, and I'm not sure my Polish is good enough to translate in the Leskovsky corner. But O'Regan in full control, perhaps just maybe could do with going through the gears here, just putting Leskovsky under some sustained pressure because he's in such control. The only thing missing is just the finish. It hasn't really looked like hurting him so far, but sitting down on these left hands now. Again, holding that distance, just trying to wait for Leskovsky to make a mistake. But I think it's fair to say the Polish fighter's just starting to go into his shell now. That's going to make him even harder to catch clean.
Definitely. He knows he's out of his depth. Corey O'Regan knows that he can go through the gears now if he wants. So I'd like to see him go through the gears, put some shots together, a few combinations. Let's get the party started tonight. I think there's a great crowd in. Let's give him something to get excited about.
Just trying to catch him with that right hook on the way in. Leskovsky just leads with the right hand, just dips over his front foot, but O'Regan wasn't able to take advantage. Stiff left hand through the middle again. Leskovsky just walking forward for the first time in about 3 rounds here. O'Regan, he's trying to turn the knuckles over on that left hand, isn't he?
He is. He's moving nicely to his right. Just switched to orthodox now. Looks for that overhand right.
Yeah, Leskovsky looked for one as well. Just clipped the shoulder of O'Regan. He's just high on the toes. Again, just turning through those 1-2s.
One thing applying the pressure with the punches, one thing applying the pressure with the feet. I feel like sometimes you need to feint, you need to trigger these guys into making a mistake. Draw a lead, counter. Just like that.
Well, that was a counter uppercut we talked about a little earlier on. It's because he does tend to kind of dip over his front foot and present the target. O'Regan hasn't found that until now.
Nice jab to the body.
And Leskovsky too hasn't switched until this point in the contest really either. Nice, just shoveled that right hook into the body, just turned it over to the head, lands another one off the back of it. Just a little bit of a breakthrough here for O'Regan with 10 seconds on the clock in round number 5. You mentioned the Muay Thai fighters, they are teeth tough and haven't ever seen him in real trouble, Leskovsky. And he took a fair few at the end there, and O'Regan, well, he did try and sit down on the shots in that round. You could just see the effort and the way he was just turning through them. There's the right hand that just landed, dug a few into the body as well, but hard to put a dent in this fella.
Yeah, I feel like he was having an effect towards the end. The body shots were really nice, sunk them in really well. He's just an awkward guy. This guy is switching southpaw, switching orthodox, and he comes in with attacks out of nowhere. So you've got to be careful. You can't just throw caution to the wind and go all out to try and stop these guys. So Corey O'Regan's doing a great job. He's measuring that distance well. He's sinking them body shots in now. Head shots are coming behind him. And I feel like he's having a dent. Trouble is, this is the 6th and final round, so he's got a survivor on the hands.
Final round.
I think maybe we have, but Corey O'Regan will want to try and put a punctuation on this if he can. He's won pretty much every second of every round in the Leeds arena so far, and he just started to turn the screw a little bit in round number 5, and just his body language at the start of this round is telling us that he's going to try and do a little more of the same over these next 3 minutes. Just steps in behind that stiff southpaw jab, just touches upstairs with the left hand, puts the hands together. Leskovsky covers up and sensibly just gets himself back to centre ring. A little bit of space behind him.
Leskovsky keep him dead tight. He knows this is Corey O'Regan's chance to go through the gears and get that stoppage in the final round.
Yeah, this is one fighter looking for the stoppage, another looking for survival at this stage. Sinks the left hand into the body, just chops the right behind it. Leskovsky just swings again and a miss. really for O'Regan a kind of sparring exercise over these last 6 rounds. He's going to need tougher tests than this.
It's a great experience for him though. He'll have been doing this in the gym day in, day out for weeks and months on end. So to do it under the lights is a different story. And he's really done it tonight. No matter what the opponent is in front of him, he's looked the business. His timing's been good. He's gone through the gears. Shot selection's been great. He's measured him very well. Very impressive.
Yeah, it's been a decent show so far as well. Callum French getting first stoppage in his second contest against Belgian Angelo Turco to open proceedings. Marley Wright settling the score against Luis Palmer, who drew against just 4 weeks ago. And barring disaster, and I don't want to put commentators curse on it, I don't think there's any chance of anything going wrong in this last minute. Corey O'Regan just looks in such full control against Yako Leskovsky. He's on the way to a 6th victory as a professional. Leskovsky just lands a right hand that just crashes against the guard. O'Regan responds, sinks a couple into the body.
Picked a nice uppercut out there. Again to the body.
Again, Leskovsky's hands were low, just the right hook just caught him, turned the cheek. And he's used the kind of blueprint that Jeff Afori set a few months ago, and the way that he dealt with him, just kept things long, nice and sharp, didn't get too greedy, and just turned the screw as the rounds went on. And that is the way to deal with somebody like Leskovsky. Just gives you a little bit of time to see those wild ones coming when you're at range. You've got sharp reflexes, good feet, like O'Regan has, but he's happy to stand and trade with him now. Leskovsky swinging and hitting thin air, as he has done for the last 6 rounds. All in the bank, all for that man, Corey O'Regan, who will undoubtedly move to 6-0 here in Leeds ahead of a stellar night of action on Dazn around the world. All starts at 7 o'clock and 9 minutes from now. Sky Nicholson against Beck Connolly, Dalton Smith in action against Ray Moylett as well. So Maxie Hughes and Ryan Walsh do battle too. Ebony Bridges taking on Maria Cecilia Roman for the IBF Women's World title. Shannon Courtney sat down at the commentary desk next to me, ready to call some of the action with our team tonight as well. And of course, all set to the table ahead of a big main event 5 years after they met. Josh Warrington and Kiko Martinez will do battle. Who'd have thought Martinez would be champion in 2022? But he is, and that is boxing. There'll be 12,000 here in the Leeds Arena to witness that one later on. But a good way to cap off proceedings on Before the Bell. Really appreciate your company wherever you've watched around the world. We're now ready to get, I think, a fairly inevitable result here between O'Regan and Leskovsky. But let's head over to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing here in Leeds, we go to referee Steve Gray's scorecard. It reads 60-54. For your winner, he's still undefeated, Corey O'Regan.
So as expected, Corey O'Regan across the cards takes his professional record to 6-0. And that caps off a great night of action here on Before the Bell. And we look ahead to a big night in the Leeds Arena. And need I remind you, the main event, Kiko Martinez, first won a world title the same night as Darren Barker, who you'll be hearing from alongside me in about 7 or 8 minutes' time. That famous night in Atlantic City, 2013. He became IBF champion at super bantamweight. Who'd have thought all these years later he'd be champion in the weight above, defending against Josh Warrington, who he missed out on victory so narrowly for about 5 years ago. Big thanks to Jordan Gill, and wish you well on your road to recovery with the hand, and looking forward to seeing you back defending your European title very soon, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you at home for watching as well. Remember, plenty of action to come on Dazn later on this evening, and plenty of action over the next few weeks as well.
Let's get ready to rumble! Now, entering the arena,
Meet the future of boxing. It's Ryan Garcia. Triple G defends the middleweight title for the 21st time.
The Destroyer, Ben.
Ripping work here from Ben.
The real deal strikes again.
You
can see